Good evening, one and all. We welcome you all to the international webinar series on holistic health. Well-being and sustainable development. We'll be starting session in a minute. Good evening, one and all. We welcome you all to the international webinar series on holistic health, well-being and sustainable development 2015 to 2024. Commemorating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, nation celebrating 76 years of independence. United Nations Sustainable Development Goals 2015 to 2030 as part of awareness and campaigns in collaboration with Sri Holistic Health Foundation India and Sri Research Institute Center for Art, Sciences and Wellbeing. Before we start our sessions, let's take the blessings of Almighty.
कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः.
With the blessings of Almighty, we shall continue with today's sessions. Today is commemorated as Global Tourism Resilience Day. Tourism supports millions of direct and indirect jobs all over the world, in particular for women and young people. For small island states and developing countries, tourism accounts for over 20% of gross domestic product, GDP. The economic contribution of tourism direct GDP was estimated at $1.9 trillion in 2021, higher than $1.6 trillion recorded for 2020, but still well below the pre-pandemic value of $3.5 trillion. For many developing countries, including the least developed countries, small islands, developing states, countries in Africa and middle income countries, tourism is a major source of income, foreign currency, earnings, tax revenue, and employment, because tourism connects people with nature. Sustainable tourism has the unique ability to spur environmental responsibility and conservation. Resilient tourism, sustainable tourism, including ecotourism, is a cross-cutting activity that contributes to the three dimensions of sustainable development and the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals by fostering economic growth, alleviating poverty, creating full and productive employment, and decent work for all. It can also play a role in accelerating the change to more sustainable consumption and production patterns, and promoting the sustainable use of oceans, seas, and marine resources, promoting local culture, improving the quality of life, and economic empowerment. Of women and young people, indigenous peoples, and local communities, and promoting rural development and better living conditions for rural populations, including smallholder and family farmers. The use of sustainable and resilient tourism as a tool to foster sustained and inclusive economic growth, social development, and financial inclusion enables the formalization of the informal sector and promotion of domestic resource mobilization and environmental protection, and eradication of poverty and hunger, including the conservation and sustainable use of biodiversity and natural resources and the promotion of investment and entrepreneurship in sustainable tourism. Global Tourism Day, celebrated every year on 17 February, proclaimed by the General Assembly in Resolution 77 by 269, aims to emphasize the need to foster resilient tourism development to deal with shocks, taking into account the vulnerability of the tourism sector to emergencies. It is also a call for action for member states to develop national strategies for rehabilitation after disruption, including through private public cooperation and the diversification of activities and products. The World Tourism Organization, UNWTO, is a leading UN international agency in the field of tourism. UNWTO, its mission is to promote tourism as a driver of economic growth, inclusive development, and environmental sustainability. And offers leadership and support to the sector in advancing knowledge and tourism policies worldwide, discovering how they are working to cope up with the pandemic along with the tourism sector and UN agencies. A case study from Buleleng, Indonesia, Deka Divandana, 46 years old, is an owner of Esda di Kubu homestay in Sudaji village, Buleleng, Bali, Indonesia. Despite the difficulties during the pandemic, he didn't give up. He followed what was taught during the ILO training to be the owner and host of his own village. And this story of Deka's success is a paradisial country that hosts the World Tourism Day 2022 celebration. Let's watch a short video.
As we reach the midpoint on our journey towards 2030, the importance of achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, is growing. We need an interconnected and systemic approach to measure the impact of human activities on these goals. This also applies to tourism. Achieving the SDGs through tourism, Toolkit of Indicators for Projects, TIPS, is a comprehensive guide designed to align tourism development projects with the goals. TIPS has been jointly developed by the Japan International Cooperation Agency and the World Tourism Organization. It can help anyone involved in tourism projects or seeking to learn about the SDGs through the lenses of tourism. TIPS facilitates collaboration and collective actions for sustainable development and promotes responsible tourism practices. The use of indicators also helps to promote a more evidence-based approach to tourism development, leading to more effective use of resources and greater development impact at global, national, and local levels. TIPS can be used at any time during a project cycle, following a process of identification and planning, design and preparation, implementation and monitoring, and evaluation. And all the contents in TIPS are interconnected. For example, once you select a goal, TIPS allows you to identify connections between targets, themes, and sub-themes, and finally, other SDG targets. The result is a broad visual map that highlights all the key points. With this innovative toolkit, we will be able to foster a more sustainable, resilient, and inclusive tourism and be back on track on our journey to 2030, ensuring prosperity and well-being of people and the planet.
Today, we are also commemorating World Pangolin Day. World Pangolin Day is observed annually on the third Saturday in February that takes place on February 17th. This year, the day aims to celebrate pangolins, raise awareness and recommit international NGOs to the fight against global capturing of pangolins in Africa and Asia. An estimated 1 million of these wonderful animals have been and continue to be harvested from the wild in African and Asian countries to meet the high demands for their scale, skin, blood, and even fetuses that are believed to have several different uses, both in fashion, traditional medicine, and cooking. Each year, World Pangolin Day is observed annually to raise awareness and recommit international organizations to fight against the global harvesting of pangolins, the only truly scaly mammals in the world. The day is an opportunity for pangolin enthusiasts and wider human community to join hands in raising awareness about the plight of these unique animals. Pangolin numbers are rapidly declining in Asia and Africa. Pangolins are highly prized commodity, often illegally trafficked and killed for its scale by organized crime networks on a large scale to serve the need of the traditional medicine market in Asia, where pangolin scales are unfortunately believed to be cure all sorts of, and pangolin flesh is considered a delicacy. In Vietnam and Central and other southern parts of West Africa, pangolins are often offered at restaurants catering to wealthy clients who consider their meat rare and statement of status. When frightened, a pangolin will curl up into a tiny ball to protect its tender underside, making it a prime target for illegal poachers. From 2016 to 2019, an estimated 206.4 tons of pangolin scales, or an equivalent of about 360,000 pangolins, were intercepted and confiscated from 52 seizures, according to a report by the World Life Justice Commission, an international foundation set up in Netherlands with the mission to disrupt and help dismantle organized international transnational criminal wildlife trading networks. In April 2013, 22,046 pounds of pangolin meat are seized from Chinese vessel in the Philippines in 2013. In November, the Zoological Society includes pangolins on the London's list of evolutionarily distinct and endangered mammals in 2010. Vietnam is outed as the main demand destination for pangolins in 2008. Vietnam authorities says the largest volumes of pangolin scales ever in 2019. In Yoruba medicine of Yoruba tribe in the Western African country of Nigeria, traditional medicine prescribes use pangolin bones for treating strokes, back pain, and rheumatism. It is also sometimes used to treat mental illness. Pangolins play a critical role in their ecosystems by providing the earth with natural pest control. A single pangolin eats as much as 70 million insects per year, which is important to keep soils aerated, tender, and fertile. The pangolin and an armadillo are both mammals and eat ants. The pangolin is smaller than armadillo and both have an outer protective shell. The armadillo comes from Central and South America and the United States, while the pangolin hails from subtropical Africa and Southeast Asia. Dedicated NGOs across the globe are working in tandem to protect and preserve these unique animals by educating the local population on the risk of pangolins becoming extinct. One way we can help expand as individuals is to create paintings, drawings, sculptures, or even tattoos that pique the curiosity of others within our community, enough for them to commit to fighting and harvesting of pangolins from the wild and stop buying it. Another way to observe World Pangolin Day is to learn more about them and share what you have learned by writing. Heighten everyone's sense of urgency. Help governments tighten their enforcement of laws against pangolin harvesting in places that have enforcement and inspire the need for it in the countries that don't. Like yourself, ask people online to pledge to never consume pangolin products or as food. Make them promise to help others make an informed decision too. You might even reach out to influencers to seek their support to raise awareness, inspire action from the wider public use. Use the hashtag World Pangolin Day. Pangolins are the only mammals on the earth with scales, which is why they are in demand for their perceived usefulness in fashion and for curing certain illness. Pangolins play a very important role in ecosystems by feeding on the insects necessary to keep soils aerated and fertile, and they help control the insect population. An estimated 1 million pangolins have been taken from the wild illegally in the past decade, and they are critically endangered. All 8 species have been overharvested and are critically endangered, and there are only 8 species of pangolin. Pangolin and keratin. Their scales and claws are made of keratin. Pangolins are endangered animals. An estimated 1 million plus pangolins have been taken from the wild illegally, prompting their inclusion into the Zoological Society of London's list of evolutionarily distinct and endangered mammals. If actions are not taken urgently, the earth might lose its only scaly mammal and soil aerator to incessant cruelty of pangolin smugglers. Pangolins provide the earth with natural pest control. It is said that a single pangolin eats as much as 70 million insects per year, which is important to keep the soils aerated, tender, and fertile. Many more people need enlightening on the effect and the risk of purchasing pangolins to eat or use as a cure for illness. One thing designating a day to observe and talk and renew our commitment to the fight against pangolin harvesting is that it shines more light on the cause. It makes people want to learn about this shy and wonderful animal and its plight. Let's see a short video.
Transnational organized crime is decimating our planet's wildlife. Every 24 hours, 2 rhinos are poached. Every second, 3 sharks are finned. The world's remaining 5,000 wild tigers are a target for criminals. Time is running out. Wildlife crime has become a multi-billion-dollar industry with intricate networks that span the globe. Since 2015, the Wildlife Justice Commission has been tackling wildlife crimes through a unique approach. Intelligence-led investigations support law enforcement agencies, which resulted in dozens of high-level arrests and networks dismantled. So far, with a 100% conviction rate for all matters finalized in court. In the process, tons of animal parts have been seized and numerous live animals have been rescued. The Wildlife Justice Commission urges policymakers and governments to make the fight against wildlife crime a priority to prevent further biodiversity loss.
Join us in the fight against wildlife crime, because it takes a network to defeat a network.
Today is also commemorated as World Human Spirit Day, which is observed annually on February 17th as a day to encourage mindfulness through meditation to get us to form the habit of constant reflection as a way to feel content in our pressure-filled society. According to Daniel Helminai, it's a respected philosopher in the space of spirituality. The spirit in the mental function of awareness, insight, understanding, judgment, and other reasoning. In Christianity, it is emphasized that the human spirit is a real person, the essential part of our existence. In similar way, in many religions, World Human Spirit Day aims to strengthen the connection to our spiritual self as a way to stay grounded even amid societal pressure. World Human Spirit Day was started in 2003 by Michael Levy to serve as a day to promote a human spirit that lives a creative, peaceful, and loving life. This day is based on the belief that the human spirit represents a place of peace and tranquility that's needed as an escape from our pressure-filled society. It aims to encourage mindfulness through meditation to get us to form the habit of constant reflection as a way to feel content in our society. Throughout the modern era, the question of what the human spirit truly is and how it helps us escape our sometimes unfavorable world has been a question philosophers have tried to answer. The holiday is meant to serve as a recognition of the fact that we know about our world is limited and superficial. It is a day everyone is encouraged to reflect on their achievements in the world as humans stay content by contemplating the endless possibilities of even greater achievements as spirits. The day seeks to help strengthen the connection to our spirit self as a way to stay grounded even amid societal pressure. World Human Spirit Day is a day to search for contentment from within and to embrace the fact that we do not have all the answers. A day to give some higher power thanks for what we have and yet to have, and this is typically observed to promote the value of mental peace and satisfaction in our lives. Lonergan, one of the foremost modern day philosophers in the understanding of the human spirit, is born in the West in 1904. British Science Fiction and Fantasy Hall of Fame inductee Olaf Stapledon gives his famous definition of the human spirit at a podium in 1994. "2000 marks the year Human Person in Science and Theology, considered to be one of the most important books to explore the dimensions of personhood from scientific and theological perspectives, was released in 2000. World Human Spirit Day is established to promote a human spirit that lives the creative, peaceful, and loving life that it was meant to live and was initiated in 2003. World Human Spirit Day is observed annually on February 17th as a way to encourage mindfulness through meditation to get us to form the habit of constant reflection as a way to feel content in our pressure-filled society. The day is meant to serve as a reminder of the fact that what we know about our world is limited and superficial and to help us stay thankful. World Spirit Day, World Human Spirit Day is important as it helps us to stay thankful. The day is meant to serve as a recognition of the fact that we know about our world is limited and superficial, and thus encourages strengthening the connection to our spiritual self as a way to stay grounded even during material position, pressure, or other pressures of the society. World Human Spirit Day is observed in many countries all around the world. So, on World Human Spirit Day, everyone is encouraged to meditate to find the spirit of freedom and peace that lives within each of us Silence is a way to connect to the spirits. When done right, it can renew and refresh us. So take out time to meditate. Show appreciation. One of the things that occur with meditation is the proper reflection and putting past of current events into context. Showing gratitude is another way to celebrate Human Spirit Day. Search within yourself for contentment and to accept that we can't have answers to everything. Think of how to practice a lot more gratitude, mindfulness, and self love. Take to social media to spread awareness and encourage participation in meditation, persuade people to form the habit of constant reflection, and yoga as a way to feel content in our unpleasant society. To celebrate World Human Spirit Day, share your thoughts using hashtag Human Spirit Day. According to Greek philosopher Pythagoras, in his theory of metapsychosis, the human spirit is immortal and upon death enters into a new body. There are four types of spirituality recognized today: mystical, active practical, prophetic practical, and ascetical. Over the years, the concept of spirituality has changed from a purely religious one to more broad practice that stands even outside of religion. The three main elements of spirituality recognized by shamans, healers, sagas, and people of wisdom from all over the world are our values, relationships, and purposes of life or purpose of life. Spirituality versus religion. While religion is made up of set of beliefs that are shared by a specific group, spirituality is focused more on self-practice, learning towards existentialism. It encourages gratitude since meditation and reflection helps us put things in context and most often helps us realize how lucky we are to still be breathing despite everything we think is bad and world we live in. It motivates us to be thankful. World Human Spirit Day is particularly important because of the thankfulness it inspires. World Human Spirit Day fosters a positive mindset by encouraging mindfulness through meditation. It also helps us from the habit of contentment and gratitude for the things that we have and changes our focus away from accumulating material possession to growing the connection to our spiritual self. World Human Spirit Day is one of the most romantic and spirituality charged months of the year. February, the date is celebrated, represents one of the most admired factors about this day. In a month where external pressure for material possession could double its usual influence on us due to Valentine and all other events. World Human Spirit Day serves as an equalizer to promote calmness. This week is also commemorated as National FFA Week in the US, which is an annual holiday that occurs for a week in February, starting from Saturday before the last Saturday of the month, from February 17th to 24th. This year, the holiday was initiated by the National Future Farmers of America organization, a youth leadership development organization with more than 760,000 student members in 8,700 local FFA chapters in all 50 states and Puerto Rico, and the mission to prepare future generations for the challenges of feeding the growing population of the United States. So the National FFA Week was specifically initiated to fall on George Washington's birth week to highlight his legacy as a leader and a foremost farmer. National FFA Week was initiated by the National Future Farmers of America organization, a youth leadership organization and one of the largest in the US to make positive difference in the lives of young people by developing their potential for leadership, personal growth, and career success through agricultural education. First founded by a group of young farmers in 1928, the FFA mission during National FFA Week is to prepare future generations for challenges of feeding the growing population of the United States by teaching members various topics related to agricultural technology, science, and business. That is agricultural business, agriculture mechanics, agriculture sales, dairy cattle evaluation, and agronomy, food science and technology, and dairy food, and many others. Initially, this day was observed on a single day in 1948 to recognize George Washington's example and legacy as a leader and farmer. The National FFA Board of Directors initiated a week-long tradition. Each year, all 7 lakh FFA members spend the week-long holiday developing their potential for leadership, personal growth, and career success through agricultural education in creative and innovative ways in their various local FFA chapters. During the week, FFA members will take part in agricultural, leadership, and service-based societies activities across the country. The organization hosts career development events of courses, contests in which student members compete to test the skills they have learned through agricultural education, instruction from the program. So National FFA Day is started in 1933, the precursor to National FFA Week. The FFA purchases 28.5 acres of land a short distance from George Washington's Mount Vernon plantation in 1939. National FFA Day becomes National FFA Week following the decision of the FFA Board of Trustees at a meeting in July 1947. The first National FFA takes place from February 21st to February 27th in 1948. So the letters FFA stand for Future Farmers of America, a youth leadership development organization with more than 760,000 student members in 8,700 local FFA chapters in all 50 states, including Puerto Rico, with the mission to prepare future generations for the challenges of feeding the growing population of United States. Most people think of farming at the mention of world agriculture. However, agriculture is a broad field of study and includes veterinary science, marketing, food processing, retail sales, timber harvesting, etc. And members are not necessarily going to be farmers. So enroll in an agricultural science class if you are a student, or donate to the FFA and show your support for the program on social media during the National FFA Week if you have a parent looking to enroll your kids. To observe National FFA Week as a student, the first step is to enroll in an agricultural science class. This is because the FFA is part of the teaching program in agricultural sciences. FFA activities are an outgrowth to the classroom and supervised independent projects. The National Future Farmers of America organization is a charitable organization that mostly reliant on donations. So donate a generous amount to it as a way to observe National FFA Week. You can also support its mission by buying the iconic blue jacket of its members from its official store. Perhaps a more accessible way to observe National FFA Week as a parent is to show your support for the program publicly or social media using the hashtag FFA Week. Before the establishment of National FFA Week, there was a National FFA Day. Gold under blue, gold represents the color of corn, and the blue is a reference to the US flag, and thus the FFA has official colors. The FFA reports that it has 760,000 fellows across the United States participating in National FFA Week activities at local, state, and national levels. The 5 states with the most members are California, Texas, Oklahoma, Georgia, and Missouri. Although it has representatives in each state it operates, the national headquarters of the FFA is in Indianapolis. National FFA Week promotes the FFA, which is a part of agricultural sciences teaching program in schools meant to pick students' interest in agriculture. The National FFA aims to help students understand that agriculture is more than planting and harvesting through supervised independent projects. One of the reasons National FFA Week's promotion of FFA is important because it guarantees that the US has a growing number of food production experts concerning the average growth of food population. One of the reasons National FFA Week's promotion of FFA is important because it guarantees the US has a growing number of food production experts concerning the average growth of populace. It helps enlighten students about the various career paths that might fit them. Although, according to the US Department of Agriculture, an estimated 1 in 5 people in the US work in one of over 300 agriculture related jobs. To meet up the constantly growing population, more and more people are needed to acquire expertise in these jobs. Today is also commemorated as Real Bread Week in the United States, commemorated this entire week from February 17 to 25, which takes place on the second last Saturday to the second last Sunday in February every year since 2010. It occurs February 17 to 2025, February 17 to 25 this year, which is an annual international celebration of real bread and celebrates additive-free breads and the people who make them. This week aims to encourage a future where everyone has access to good preservative-free real bread by either marking it themselves, buying it from local. The Real Bread campaign was co-launched by Andrew Whitley of Bread Matters and the Sustain Alliance on November 26, 2008. The Sustain Alliance runs the campaign as an annual international event. Real Bread Week also celebrates individuals and business that make organic and real bread. After the initial runs, the campaign collaborated with Balcony Shirts to produce a limited run of exclusive t-shirts, aprons, and mugs to sell during Real Bread Week. The proceeds went to the campaign and Sustain Alliance community groups, care homes, mills, baking schools, bakeries, and youth groups have been involved with the campaign since the beginning, and baking and promoting real bread and hosting various events and activities. Today is also commemorated as Simplot Games in the US, starting from today till February 17th. Simplot Games is a track and field event that happens every year on February 17th to 19th. It takes place at Holt Arena, Idaho State University. The J.R. Simplet Company sponsors the game. Over 1,500 high school athletes from all over the US and Canada come together to compete at Simplot Games. It is held on the weekend of the third Saturday in February. The first game was held in 1979. The unique 200-meter bank board track in the Holt Arena is one of the fastest in America. Since the track debuted, athletic records have been regularly broken. When the Simplot Games began in 1979, it was just a regional track meet. It has come a long way since then. It has become one of the country's premier high school track and field events. The games have mentioned old traditions and added new features that have made it what it is currently. It currently offers a lot of opportunities to high school athletes. The games have allowed aspiring athletes to showcase their talents for decades. The games have been very competitive, seeing records being broken regularly. By competing in the simpler games, high school athletics get the rare opportunity to meet guest Olympic champions such as honorary chairman Dick Fosbury. Admission is free, so students from all over the country have chance to compete. It is also an open meet, meaning there is no qualifying time or distance for athletes to compete. This makes the games different from most national events. The game is an Olympic style event offering recognition to all participants with the parade of athletes. The parade of athletes have been a yearly tradition at the Simplot Games. During the parade, about 2,000 competing athletes go around the historic wood track at Idaho State University. During the parade of athletes, the national anthem is played, special guests are introduced, and all athletes are recognized on the track. The games begin, and everyone has an equal chance to become a champion. Today is also commemorated as Analog to Digital TV Day in US, which is celebrated annually on February 17th. It is an unofficial holiday celebrating the transition of TV broadcast from analog to digital. Analog TVs are the earliest type of television technology in which visuals and sounds are controlled by the modification of waves and frequencies. In contrast, a digital TV is a high definition television where visuals and sounds are encoded into numbers, giving a better resolution, clearer and sharper pictures, and distorted sounds and other enhanced features. As all upgrades, digital TVs greatly improve users' experience, and we understand why adoption is being calculated. Today is also commemorated as Champion Crab Races Day in US. Champion Crab Races Day hosts a very important and very interesting sporting event on February 17th. A typical crab race event requires people to enter crabs in competitions with the chance to win prize money. Competing crabs enter about 12 to 14 heat races. The winner of each race goes on to compete in the championship race. The race begins with competing crabs under a bowl in the middle of a racing ring. Once the bowl is lifted, the race starts and it is pure anticipation until the winning crab crosses the outer ring. The National Crab Racing Association, NCRA, is the most prominent organization involved with the crab racing. In 1979, the organization was founded by Jim Morgan. NCRA is responsible for training crabs to compete in the championship races. They get their crabs from the top importer of hermit crabs globally. Florida Marine Research, the best crabs from the training go on to the crab racing circuit in Canada and the United States. Crabs are known to have existed since the Jurassic Park period, 200 million years ago. Most crab species can be found in coastal areas containing fresh, brackish, and salty water. The smallest known crab species is the pea crab. Its size is about 0.27 and 0.47 inches in length. The largest crab species in the Japanese spider crab. Its size measures about 12 feet in length between its claws. The soft tissue is protected by exoskeleton, which is made of fibrous substance called chitin. It is strong enough to keep them safe from some predators and environmental hazards. Crabs sometimes live together in groups referred to as castes. Crabs are a significant part of some cultures. Winning crab racers also sometimes receive prize money. Thousands of crabs are prepared for the race and also eaten at various locations, which significantly poses a threat to the crabs. Today is also commemorated as Revolution, February 17th, the revolution in Libya, also known as the Day of Revolt. It is regarded as one of the most important events in Libya's history as it is marked the beginning of the end of colonial Gaddafi's 4-decade authoritarian rule. This day also reminds Libyans of their struggles and lives lost in demanding a democratic Libya, where human rights exist in their true form. During this period, Libya went through a series of tumultuous events. The Arab Spring is considered by many as the principal catalyst that led to the February 17th revolution in Libya. The conflicts that ensued when Libyans demanded a regime change have left an indelible mark on their psyche. Libya was under Italian colonial rule and became an independent nation in 1959. With Idris I becoming its first king, Idris I was a politician and religious leader whose government was unpopular because of his conservative nature. In 1969, Colonel Muammar Gaddafi overthrew King Idris in a coup d'etat, intending to move the country to a greater heights. Gaddafi ruled for 4 decades, making him the longest serving leader in Libya. During his reign, all social organizations and political parties were disallowed. In 2010, the Arab Spring, an alliance of revolutionists, agitators, and activists, unseated many rulers in Arab nations, starting in Tunisia and Egypt, where leaders gave in to the demands of the masses and willingly stepped down. However, Gaddafi displayed a stern approach to the Arab Spring's ravaging revolution in his country. On February 15, 2011, the first protest against his government was staged in Benghazi. Several peaceful protesters were gathered in their hundreds at a police station, were killed. In response to that, organizers mobilized hundreds of protesters to come out at various locations across the nation on February 17th, the day that was officially named the Day of Revolt. Demonstrations took place at Bagzi, Darna, Ashdabia, Zintan, and elsewhere. Dozens of protesters were killed as Gaddafi's security forces fired live bullets on them, and an act that led to the beginning of a civil war. Kosovo Independence Day is a national day celebrated, observed annually on every February 17th in Kosovo in commemoration of the declaration of the Balkan national independence in 2008. Kosovo, the second youngest country in the world, Southeastern Europe, on February 17, 2008, made a declaration of the independence from Serbia following a deadly war from March 5, 1998 to June 11, 1999. Forces of the Federal Republic of Yugoslavia, Serbia, and Montenegro, and the Kosovo Albanian rebel group, Kosovo Liberation Army, KLA, came at each other savagely, gaining widespread attention. The conflict came to an halt following the North Atlantic Treaty Organization's NATO intervention by airstrikes in March 1999. Yugoslav forces then withdrew from Kosovo. Today is also commemorated as Libyan Revolution Day in Libya, which was held annually on February 17th, is a significant national day commemorating the 2011 revolt against the Libyan authoritarian dictator and revolutionaries. Today is also commemorated as My Way Day on February 17th in US. Is a fun celebration urging us to live life authentically and apologetically and to play by our own rules without fear. And why not? It's your life, and hey, you got just one life, one to live. All the shots along the national day's history. My Way Day is said to be a brainchild of actor Thomas Roy and his writer Ruth, who both run Wellcat Herbs and Wellcat Holidays. And these couple have created 70 copyrighted special holidays celebrated in America. Today is also commemorated as National Cabbage Day in US. The usage of cabbage dates back to 4000 BC with origins in Asia, especially North China and Eastern Mediterranean region of Europe. The Brussels sprouts, broccoli, cauliflower, bok choy, kohlrabi, and kale are considered part of the cabbage family. Cabbage is a staple in European and Indian cuisine. The West-style cabbage brings a variety of flavors to the dinner table and can be prepared in many different ways, such as pickled, sauteed, stewed, etc. Cabbage is more than just a side of coleslaw or an accompaniment to corn. This delightful veggie deserves additional credit because it has much more to offer. Apart from being a very good source of fiber and vitamins, cabbage is a vegetable that offers value for money. Today, the world production of cabbage and other species of the same family nears 69 million tons, and China accounting for 48% of the total. Although cabbage is a vegetable that is taken for granted, its production numbers affirm its popularity across the world, and its nutritional value makes them an essential part of every kitchen. Cabbage has been around for thousands of years, coming in different varieties and flavors. Also, you can enjoy it in a range of ways. You can either eat it raw, steam it, boil it, bake it, braise, or fry it. You can even ferment it to enjoy it in the future. Today is also commemorated as National Cave All Light Day in US, which is a fun celebration that takes place on February 17th. It is a perfect holiday for coffee lovers around the world. French delight cave au lait, translated coffee with milk, is a sweet, delicious beverage made from freshly brewed coffee as a base, and then crowned with steamy, hot, delicious milk, and lots of it. Although of similar variants with the Italian cafe latte, that is coffee, espresso, and streamed milk, Spanish cafe con leche, espresso, and scalded milk, Portuguese cafe com latte, coffee with hot milk. Among several variants, they slightly differ in terms of ratios and method of serving. Coffee, a drink made from the seeds of the coffee plant, that is coffee beans, is said to have been discovered in Ethiopia, Kaffa province a century ago when it was consumed as food before spreading to other parts of the world. However, it was when coffee arrived in Yemen that it became popular as a drink. From then, the love for coffee began spreading throughout the Middle East to Europe by the 17th century and then to the rest of the world. Its preparation involves drying, roasting, and crushing the coffee beans. So we request everyone to fill the registration form, which has been already raised in the form of polls. And in next few minutes, we'll be closing the form to launch feedback form. So those who have not filled the registration form can quickly register. Today is also commemorated as National Public Science Day in US, celebrated from February 17th to February 19th every year since 1989. This holiday was established by the American Association for the Advancement of Sciences to highlight the importance of discussing emerging scientific issues. It is an annual opportunity to engage the general public in debates about the role of science in a peaceful and sustainable society. It also draws attention to some of the challenges scientists face and helps support solving some of the issues. To honor the scientists around the world, Let us help students who inspire to be them by giving them resources to pursue their desire for knowledge. Science in the US has a long history that produced significant figures and developments in the field. About 8 of America's founding fathers actively contributed to science and development. Benjamin Franklin made notable contributors to the science behind electricity. He conducted a series of experiments that proved that lightning is a form of electricity. His science exploits also led to the invention of the bifocal eyeglasses and the Franklin stone. David Rittenhouse crafted scientific instruments during the American Revolution. He helped create the defense of Philadelphia and made telescopes and other navigational instruments used in US military. Rittenhouse also created designs for the road and canal systems in Pennsylvania. He later went on to spend time studying the planets and stars. Benjamin Rush is another founding father who was a pioneer in science. He served as a United States Surgeon General and saved the lives of many soldiers during the American Revolutionary War. He introduced new medical treatments that led to the developments in the field. He brought enlightenment to the public about proper hygiene and public health practices. After his service in military, Benjamin Rush established the first free clinic in the US. Charles Wilson Peel was an artist, historian, inventor, educator, and politician. He is remembered mainly for his paintings, but he also founded the first major museum in the United States, the Pale Museum in Philadelphia, housed the country's only North American natural history specimens. Pale displayed the ancient Marsden he excavated near West Point, New York, in the Pale Museum. He helped start a tradition of making science fun and accessible to the general public. Today is also commemorated as National Random Acts of Kindness Day in US. If you are anything like most people, then you are constantly mumbling things to yourself. Like people these days are not just rude. What happened to the good days when everyone was polite? Sound familiar? Of course it does. For those of you that wish you could change the world, Random Act of Kindness Day on February 17th is just for you. Here are a few tips on how to get the job done. One can never go wrong with kindness, and there can never be too much of it. The idea behind National Random Acts of Kindness Day is to cultivate feelings of kindness and brighten up someone's day. Every small act of kindness is significant. It may seem like it doesn't accomplish much, but just like the domino effect, one act of kindness can lead to more positive outcomes. Don't hold back from uplifting others with compliments and compassion on this day. Random Acts of Kindness Day was initiated in 1995 in Denver, Colorado by a nonprofit organization called the Random Acts of Kindness Foundation. The event spread to New Zealand 9 years later. In 2004, the observance of holiday became more and more widespread. Random Acts of Kindness Day may not have been around for a very long time, but kindness have been existed throughout the human history. There are great examples of prominent figures in history who have made an impact through their selfless acts of kindness. Princess Diana, the Dalai Lama, and Mother Teresa, to name a few. Various studies have also proved proved that kindness is undoubtedly an inherent part of the nature, with feelings of care developing in humans while they are all still babies. Today is also commemorated as National Tennis Pro Day in US. Which is observed on February 17th and is a day for honoring professional tennis players who coach and guide recreational players. On this day, avid recreational tennis players play their respects to the professionals for coaching and sharing their experiences with them. It is a day for tennis mentees to appreciate and celebrate their mentors. Coaches are of equal significance in the lives of both recreational and professional players. Even the big three of tennis, Roger Federer, Rafael Nadal, and Novak Djokovic, openly credit a large part of their success to their coaches. National Tennis Pro Day was created by Maria Oddi in 2016, but was first celebrated in 2021. It is a day that is meant to show appreciation towards tennis pros around the world for their relentless efforts and patience when coaching recreational tennis players. The day is an occasion for expressing gratitude towards tennis pros who have enabled recreation players to improve their game. The sport of tennis originally began in 12th century France, where it involved hitting a ball with bare hands and was called the game of the palm. King Louis X of France was an avid player of the game. By the 16th century, the game was moved from playing in an open space to an enclosed area with standardized rules. Racket use was adopted. Francis I of France built courts to promote real tennis and encourage commoners and courtiers to play the game. Although tennis began to be played in the 16th century, from 1413 to 1422, royal interest in tennis began in England with King Henry V between 1509 and 1547. Henry VII, as an young monarch, made a big impact by playing tennis with gusto on a court he built in 1530. In 1437, tennis indirectly led to the death of King James I of Scotland at the Blackfriars Perth, and the drain outlet, which was supposed to be his escape route from assassins, had been blocked to prevent tennis balls from getting lost. So Trato del Guico della Palla, the first known tennis book, was written by Antonio Scanio da Sole, an Italian priest, in 1555. Finally, we are commemorating our last commemoration of the day, and is also commemorated as Who Shall I Be Day in US, which is commemorated on February 17th. It is a day to take a break and contemplate what you want to become. In a world where there are infinite possibilities to become whatever we want, it can be confusing and chaotic to choose. The day is created to help people make the best decisions on who they shall be. Take a deep breath, think about all the possible outcomes, analyze your strengths and weaknesses, calculate your interests and dislikes, and finally recognize what you want to be. What's make us different from the rest of the animals and beasts that roam the wilderness? We can assume various traits like intelligence, common sense, communication, opposing thumbs, equally important. However, it's our capability to comprehend choices and take action accordingly. One such example of having to choose between two outcomes is a flight or fight response. Unlike animals, we humans can make choices and decide what to do in a dangerous situation without acting on intuition alone. We can choose to be a hunter or gatherer, a craftsman, a potter, a fighter, or pretty much anything we want. Now, we might not be good at everything we choose to do, but we do have a lot of options to choose from. The choices can be a bit overwhelming at times, especially for a teenager facing the question of what he wants to be. We have always searched for the answer to and we to who we are and what our purpose of life, what our purposes are in life. We'd better leave such complex questions to the capable philosophers. But when a simple question of what a child wants to be can be confusing, it's time to have a day dedicated to answering just that. It's a day to ponder who you should be and how you can achieve it. The history of career exploration begins with Frank Parsons and his book Choosing a Vocation, who is also considered as father of vocational guidance in 1909. Cecil Elec Mace explains the idea of goal setting in a study, The Psychology of Study, in 1935. Annie Rowe describes her career theory in The Psychology of Occupations in 1956. Edwin Locke, an American psychologist, puts forward the goal setting theory of motivation in 1960. Personal goals can be of many types. Having basic needs like air, water, food, clothes, and shelter is a good start. Good health, sound finance, mindfulness, loyal friends, etc. are also important personal life goals. Finding a career that can support us financially while providing us with a good work life balance is one example of a life goal. Dreams are important as they can help us to motivate and inspire us to achieve our life goals. The first step is understanding the end goals. Write down what your priorities are for your future. You are the best judge of your strengths and weaknesses. Write them down for final analysis. Now we have set up our priorities and we have listed our strengths and weakness. Think about the activities that you are passionate about that and match the above list. Now you know what you want to be. Realistic goals are easier to achieve, and the success rate of people with realistic goals is higher than that of others. It is the power of realistic goals. Saying our goals in the morning or writing them down every day can help us achieve them. Importance of repeating the goals. Never set goals to please others. Pleasing other people with your goals can do more damage than good. Failure is not the end of the road, and you can still achieve your goals after initial failures. It's okay to fail. Change takes time, so be patient and work hard towards your goals. Change is tough. Having an ambition or a goal for the future is good. It can help us have a plan for the future and help us have a better life. Having an ambition is a good. Success requires hard work, skill, luck, and above all, a plan. This day reminds us about the importance of thinking about what shall we do in the future. Goals helps us succeed. Those who want to make their mark in this world will have to create a new path rather than follow the footsteps of those before us. This day can help us think about the path that we will have to create. Create a path rather than following. So with this, we shall end today's commemorations. Thank you everyone for joining us on this wonderful day, and see you all tomorrow. Take care. Good night. Before leaving, we request everyone to quickly fill up the feedback form, which has been raised in the form of polls.